Hello to everyone at the University of Minnesota College of Pharmacy Rare Disease Conference. I think you know I'd much rather be there with you in person, but there's just a few things going on right now, so I'm honored to join you via video. I'd like to thank Dean Tolar of the University of Minnesota Medical School, Dr. James Cloyd, professor in the Department of Experimental and Clinical Pharmacology, and of course all the researchers, advocates, students, families, and patients gathered today. You are on the front lines, leading the way, working every day to make breakthroughs that will impact countless lives around the country and even the world. And one really important part of your research is looking for treatments and cures for rare diseases, an area that doesn't get the attention it deserves. But you're all there today because you understand how important the issue is. There are nearly 7,000 known rare diseases affecting almost 1 in 10 Americans. That's about 30 million people, roughly half of whom are children, but only about 5% of rare diseases have an FDA-approved treatment. We know these patients. We've met them and heard their stories. They're counting on us. Like 5-year-old Sophia, whose parents, Mehdi and Victoria Ayache, contacted my office last year when their daughter was diagnosed with AFM. Along with 6 other Minnesota kids, Sophia was battling AFM, a disease with polio-like symptoms that has no cure, and the cases kicked off an all-hands-on-deck effort to investigate and respond to this serious condition. I had the opportunity to meet with Sophia and her parents, along with other families, and immediately called on the CDC to conduct an expedited investigation into these infections because we need an answer and fast. And as unfortunate as these cases were, they actually just underscore the importance of the need for cutting-edge medical research. Throughout my time in the Senate, we consistently pushed my colleagues to increase support for NIH and medical research funding. Federal funding for research is essential, especially because we know that there's more profit in treating diseases that affect more people than there is in finding new treatments for rare diseases. That's not a good enough excuse. There are too many families who need our help. It's why I'm proud that just last year we included $2 billion boost for NIH, the 4th year in a row they've received an increase. It's long overdue. I was there when the 21st Century Cures Act was signed into law by President Obama and Vice President Biden. I was actually in the room because I'd worked so hard on that bill. It was an important milestone for increasing funding and getting patient experience and the drug approval process into law because NIH funding had been flat for more than a decade. It's also why I introduced the Benefit Act with Senator Wicker, a Republican of Mississippi, requiring the FDA to include patient experience or patient-focused drug development data as part of its risk-benefit framework. And I'm happy to say that our bipartisan bill passed the Senate last Congress, but we still have more to do. It's critical that we continue working to give patients and their families a better seat at the table. Because you know what they say in Washington, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. And that includes when the FDA is reviewing new treatments. The approval process is never easy for families. We must improve transparency and ensure families remain informed every step of the way. No family should ever be left in the dark when it comes to the health and well-being of their loved ones. We also need to ensure that treatments for those with rare conditions are accessible and affordable, because when costs get too high, patients can't get the help they need. I remain committed to ensuring that those pharma prices stay low. There's a lot of stuff we can do there, and also that medical research isn't undermined. And I'm working across the aisle because members of both parties know how important this research is and how many families are counting on it. I'd like to close with a story about a mom who I think is in the audience today, Erica Barnes. In 2008, Erica couldn't have been more thrilled when her and her husband, Philip, welcomed a beautiful baby daughter named Chloe to their family. But they became increasingly worried when she still hadn't started walking after 18 months. The first pediatrician thought everything was fine, but Erica and Philip weren't convinced, so they took her to see a specialist at Children's Hospital. They did an MRI. She was quickly referred to Mayo, which gave them the devastating diagnosis. Little Chloe had MLD, a rare genetic disorder that causes progressive central nervous system deterioration. There's no cure. Patients slowly lose their ability to see, move, remember, speak, and even to breathe. Tragically, Chloe died in 2010. She was only 2.5 years old. It's a sad, sad story, but it's also a story of hope. Because rather than surrendering to their heartbreak, the Barnes family chose to fight on for families who need miracles. And that's how Chloe's Fight Rare Disease Foundation was born. Their vision, a world where research gives every child a chance to fight, no matter how rare their disease. A world in which every childhood disease has a viable and effective treatment. Well, Chloe's fight is now our fight, and it's one that won't be won overnight. Treatments and cures take time, but I'm confident that together we will accomplish remarkable things, and we will find treatments and cures and save lives. Thank you for everything you do. Keep up the great work.